Hello everybody and welcome. In today's video we are going to cover how to build the default template in Ableton Live 12. Now what we have here on screen is the one that I normally use, and the project file will be available on my Patreon. However, for the purpose of this video we will be building it from scratch. Just a quick overview of everything that we have here. We have a song structure channel in which all it is just a little reminder of where to be placing your progression of a song. For this setup that I have here, I used the track from Monty and Visage's Demon. And if we drag and drop that in here, you can see that everything is tagged according to the progression of the song. So if you go ahead and choose 4-bar segments or 2-bar, which by the way, if you hit Command 1 or 2, you can split up your grid accordingly. Command 3 will send it into triplets, as you can see here. Command 4 will just turn off your grid altogether. So all I did was bring in an audio track. I think there's an audio track. No, it's a MIDI track, sorry. Empty MIDI track. And I went and created MIDI clips just for the sake of naming them. And all this is just a little reminder of when I'm building out a track, where to put the segments and the next progression according to a song I like, right? This can be subjective. You don't have to choose this specific track. If you have a specific techno track, or it can be anything, you can just drag and drop for your reference, listen, and you can even see on the waveforms here every time that there's a change within the song, right? So actually that's wrong there. But anyways, you get the point here. It's just a template that I slot into my default track at all times, so that I just get a reminder of where to move next when I'm building out my song progressions. Now, in this template, whoops, the purpose of it is to create a standardized project file that when I enter my Ableton, I don't have to be loading in my audio tracks from scratch. I can go and I already have my audio track set with a channel rack, which is designed to make my mixdown easier. All I have here is just an EQ8 cut off at 30 Hertz, a utility set to -16 decibels. I'll explain that in a second. And some other effects and presets that are just loaded in for me to not have to go back to the browser and drag everything in every single time. Another handy trick is that once you have something set in like this, you can left click here, save default audio track, and that will save so that every time you load in a track, Command T to load in a track, your channel default comes in. Now, what I have this -16 utility gain for is that it essentially creates a point in my mixdown later on once I have the track finished, so that I know that I'm hitting something with enough headroom of about 6 decibels, right? That's kind of the goal. At least you want to have at least 6 decibels of headroom. So what I do here is that on my master track, I have a similar rack with the utility turned up to 6 decibels. And once I come to the end of mixing down my track, I turn this off and everything levels out at around at least -6 decibels, sometimes less, sometimes more. But just having the combination of my audio tracks having this -16 by default makes it so that my final mix down will be in the ranges of 6 decibels headroom. And then this master track is just so that I can hear it while I'm actually producing. And so we have here a drums group, pretty straightforward. A MIDI sampler, which this will also be available on my Patreon. There's an instrument that I made. And we'll go ahead and listen to it. One second. And another thing that I have added in here is one little trick here in Ableton Live 12. If you're used to your mixer controls being on the right side of your screen here, you can bring them back in through View, Mixer Controls, Arrangement Track Controls, and there you have it, as if you were on Ableton 11. Now, here I have my resample track, and I have it set to main, of course, resampling. And all that is just whenever I have something that I want to resample, even if it's just MIDI, all I gotta do is hit record. And if you notice there, the gain boost that happened when I turned off that rack, that default rack is just to keep everything at a reasonable gain level. You can always go up, right? But you can't always go down. And so this resample track is just set for whatever it is that you want to be recording. Yeah. So this is the default template. To save it as such, you can go into File, Settings, Save Live Set as default set. I'm not going to do that right now because I have a different one that I'm using. slightly different. Just this version is all stock plugins, so you'll be able to just plug and play. You don't have to download anything, and it will be available on my Patreon along with this instrument, the all wet instrument. I've used it a bunch of my tracks. And yeah, so hope this was useful for you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.